Okay, you can start. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Hiba Akram, and I am one of the internship coordinators here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We also help manage the internship placements at White Sands Test Facility, which is in New Mexico. That is a little facility just attached to JSC, and they're kind of known as one unit. All right. So Johnson Space Center is all about leading human exploration. Our motto, I guess you could say, is Dare, Unite, Explore. We dare to expand frontier, unite with our partners to complete bold missions, and explore space to benefit humanity. You can learn more about Johnson Space Center and all the other NASA centers right here at this link. And JSC also plays a pivotal role in enhancing science and technological knowledge to benefit humankind, as you all already know. All right. So where can you actually have an internship at NASA? So NASA has a bunch of different centers and field sites all over the country. They're usually located on one of the coasts, but we do have a few that are a little bit more inland, as you can see here, Marshall Space Flight Center, and some of those that are kind of in like the northeast side of the United States. But all of these, or at least most of these centers, do host interns throughout the year. So spring, fall, and summer. All three of those semesters, I guess you could call them. We host interns throughout that time. And we have pretty much interns at every single one of these centers. And then obviously with COVID, most of our internships have been remote, but slowly we're beginning to open up and allow students back on site to have a much more beneficial and exciting experience. All right. So at NASA, we have a few different internship programs. The one I'm a part of right here is called the Office of STEM Engagement, or OSTEM internships. These exist to help you all gain a valuable experience. They give you hands-on and project-based experiences that are stipend paid. We do have a few volunteer positions, but most of them are stipend paid that directly relate to your academic majors or anything that you're specifically interested in. So interns are integrated into NASA teams and assigned to authentic projects by their mentor. So to kind of break it down for you a little bit, how it works is you end up going to the website, which I will show you in just a second here, and then you're able to select from all the different projects that are submitted by our mentors who are in need of work and in need of knowledge and experience from students specifically. We allow students all the way from age of 16 to however old you want to be, I guess. So you must be 16 minimum, high school, undergraduate, and graduate students, as well as educators. So if you are a teacher or going to become a teacher, that also makes you eligible. All right, so what is NASA actually looking for? Any major that is out there, NASA probably has had an intern with that major. So a lot of people think that it's usually, science-based or STEM majors. So if you're an engineer or mathematics and physics and that sort of thing, absolutely, that's where most of our internships do lie. But we also have a lot of different internships for, business majors and education majors and graphic design and human resource and that sort of thing. Also a lot within public affairs and journalism and even medicine. So if you're hoping to become a doctor one day, we do have some internships for students who are going down that route as well. You'd be surprised at the different kinds of career paths you can have within aerospace. So overall, whenever you're able to go onto the website and you're able to look at the projects that are posted, you'll be able to see a few different skills that are listed that the project is asking for. And most of these projects ask for a lot of the same skill sets in their students. And obviously that's because most of our students do lie within that engineering or STEM field. And all of these skills usually relate to that as well. So some programming languages are like C++, Java, CAD, AutoCAD, 3D modeling, networking, machine shop and fabrication. Prototyping is also a very big one. 3D printing, social media. You'd be surprised at the amount of effort that goes on behind NASA's social media efforts. We have a very, very large team. So if you're interested in that, absolutely, we will likely have an internship for you as well. Database administration and technical writing, plus a myriad of other different skills that can be applicable to honestly many, many different NASA internships. Okay, so what are some of NASA's internship values? We want to make sure that you all are contributing to meaningful work that will have an impact. I like to say that, most interns think that if you're going into an internship, you're just going to be, scanning papers and filing documents and fetching coffee for people. That's typically what you see in movies and that sort of thing. But at NASA, that is not the case at all. We have had interns that have made significant and meaningful impacts to NASA's missions and its goals. We've had interns that have saved their team $250,000 or more. We have had interns, come up with an entirely new product or invention, and they've had to work with NASA to get that licensed and all of that stuff as well. So you never really know what you can step into going into a NASA internship, but just know that it is definitely meaningful work. And when interns are brought on, you are actually part of the team. You are fully integrated into that team, and you'll have mentors who will help coach you along the way, and that sort of thing. And we also want to make sure that you are all part of a very diverse workforce. I'm united by a common purpose. We love to foster and inspire innovation and new ideas at NASA. I always tell my interns when I'm interviewing them that, if you are sitting in a specific project in your internship and you love it, but you're still trying to get a little bit more experience in some other areas that you're not directly working with, then absolutely ask your mentor, ask the people that you're working with if they know anybody within that area at NASA, if they can introduce you. Because, this is considered a learning experience, and we love to make sure that, you're able to get the most of the experience, and we want to make sure that we're helping along the way in your career, and helping you experience those different career fields and those different career options, so you're able to make that best informed decision about where you want to end up long term. And access to continuous learning opportunities and mentorship. Once you do land a NASA internship, it's very easy to continue within a bunch of different other NASA internships as well and get to know other people at NASA. So definitely it's always good if you do land an internship to put your best foot forward. I like to think of it as a walking, talking interview your entire internship. You never know who you can cross, you never know who you'll meet and what kind of opportunity they can offer you. Right. So what are the internship requirements? So like I mentioned, you have to be at least 16 years of age. You do have to be a U.S. citizen at this time. You must be enrolled in a full-time degree-seeking program from an accredited college or university or high school. Or like I mentioned, if you are an educator as well. And you must have at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 GPA scale. And how do you actually apply for OSTEM positions? Oops, too far. Okay, so this website right here is our website, intern.nasa.gov. Very simple, very straightforward. I hope you all can memorize it. When you log into intern.nasa.gov, the screen on the left here is what you will see. And like I mentioned, we have a few different internship programs within NASA. The one that I mentioned that I represent is the Office of STEM Engagement Internships. And you can see right here in the red circle, if you click on Learn More, there will be a little pop-up box that'll give you some more information on the program requirements that I just went over in the previous slide and a little bit more information. And then you hit the button below it, and then it should take you to this page on the right. Also, if you click this little link for internships right here, it'll also take you to the page on the right. And then from there, you can select internships. And once you select that, you will see a full screen of all of the internship projects that are posted currently, the session that it's posted for, and the center that it's posted for as well. And I believe it shows whether or not that position is remote or virtually, you'd be working virtually, or if you would be working in person or a hybrid. And from there, you can kind of filter out what you are interested in by, your degree or some skills that you have, or, certain topics that you're interested in and that sort of thing. Or if you're only hoping to, land an internship at a specific center, you can filter by all of those things as well. All right, so this is some inside information, y'all. How can you make your OSTEM application stand out? I would say, honestly, apply to every single session that you're available, even if you're not sure if you're going to be available, let's say in the fall. still apply. You never know what can happen. You plan all you want, but life has its special way of doing things and working out for a lot of us. So definitely apply for all the sessions that you can. For each session you can apply to up to 15 opportunities, so that's 15 specific projects that you can apply to directly. And another tip is to spell out any acronyms or program acronyms in your application. So within the application, it will ask if you've had any previous NASA experience and ask about, your previous work experience or volunteer or whatever it may be. If there is any program that has an acronym in it, like NCOS or HOS, please go ahead and spell it out completely so we're able to fully understand what program you're referring to, whether it's NASA related or not. And I believe this is probably the biggest tip that I can give you all to really, really stand out and to catch the attention of mentors and hiring managers. Your best bet is to explain in detail your research interests and technical skills. There will be a section for you to list your skills, technical, soft skills, and any other skills, whatever it may be. List out as many things as you can. Another little tip that's not on the slide is if you go through the project that you're wanting to apply to directly, you probably will see some keywords standing out here and there that relate to the project and are probably skills that the mentor is looking for. So if you use your analytical thinking skills and you're able to identify what those specific skills are that they're looking for, then absolutely. And if they relate to you, then absolutely list them in your application as well. Obviously, don't over exaggerate because a lot of times mentors are actually wanting you to have those specific skills. So if it applies to you, absolutely put those in your application because it really, really will make you stand out and allow it to be easier for us to find your application in the system as well. So think filters, and like I mentioned, using keywords that may boost the chances of your application being viewed by the mentor and by our team. On the right here, you can see a little chart that gives you information on the session, the duration of the internship, the typical start and end dates of the internship, and the application deadlines. So right now we are currently in our spring internship session. It started in late January and it's going to be going all the way until I believe early May or mid-May. It is a total of 16 weeks. And the application deadline for that was in early November. So spring and fall semesters are both 16 weeks long. They usually take up the duration of your standard semester. So usually, like I mentioned, that January to May, and then the August to December timeframe. And then the summer internship, which is probably what I would recommend all of you to apply to because the application deadline is coming up very, very soon. It is a full 10 weeks, and I'll go over the stipend information in just a minute, but the stipend rate that you're paid for for all 3 sessions is the same. So if you're an undergraduate student, all undergraduate students get paid the same hourly rate. So do graduate students all get paid the same hourly rate, and so on and so forth. So for the summer session, the session dates will probably start in late May or early June and going through August. Just know that if you are on a quarter schedule in your school and if you're not on that standard semester schedule, that is completely okay. We're able to usually make some adjustments to your start and end dates as needed. If you're having some sort of issue, with school, if you have to travel shortly, we can also make arrangements that way as well. And then, like I mentioned, the application deadline for summer is coming up rather soon. The application deadline was actually set for March 4th, which I believe is next Friday. However, we are having a few weeks, over the past 2-3 weeks, we had a little bit of a system issue. So we're pushing our application deadline by 2 weeks until about mid-March. I would definitely recommend you try and submit your application as soon as possible because mentors are on the hunt right now. They're looking for students and they're wanting them to get onboarded and get ready to go as soon as possible. All right, so what are some frequently asked questions? Can international students apply? Unfortunately, like I mentioned, for our internships, students must be US citizens. However, we do have other internship opportunities for international students that you can find at this link here. And then again, at the intern.nasa.gov website, it'll have another link that you can access for international students. Will housing be provided if the internship is in person? Interns are responsible for their own housing arrangements, so this includes locating and paying for your own housing. Centers usually offer a little bit of assistance in providing a list of local housing options and that sort of thing. And then we also give you access to our intern Slack channel so you can prior to your internship start date, you can meet and talk to the other interns that will be joining you, whether on site or just at JSC working remotely. And sometimes a lot of our interns have usually found roommates and that sort of thing through that as well. For JSC specifically, not for White Sands, but for JSC specifically, we do give you access to our intern run housing portal, which is a housing portal set up by our actual interns. They created the whole thing and it provides all the housing options in the area, including, apartments nearby, or dorms at the nearby universities that you can, rent out for the semester, or, renting a room from a JSC employee. A lot of our JSC employees do have rooms for rent for students, so you can do that as well. And are the internships paid? Yes, like I mentioned, the majority of interns do receive a stipend award. I have been at NASA now for 2.5 years, and I have not come across an intern that has not been paid for their internship. But we do have a few volunteer opportunities if you are interested in that. So like I mentioned, the fall and spring internships are 16 weeks. Undergraduates get paid a stipend amount of $11,680 for that duration, and graduates get paid $14,400. When I mentioned graduates and undergraduates, you must have started your actual coursework by the time the internship starts to be able to be considered for that graduate or the undergraduate stipend. High school interns do have a little bit of a lower rate. We do base it off of your experience and how far you are in your education, but they do get paid a good amount. So if you do have, siblings, friends, and stuff like that that are in high school as well, absolutely encourage them to apply too. Summer internships are 10 weeks. Undergraduates get paid $7,300 and graduates get paid $9,000. When you break it down, the hourly rate is exactly the same for fall and spring internships and summer internships. All right, some more frequently asked questions. How do I know my application was received? Once you go into your application, it will say your application was received. You'll be able to click submission status, and it will say that thank you for your submission. It has been received, and it will also say complete after that. And how can I check the status of my application? So typically for Johnson Space Center, how it works when we're bringing on interns is we do reach out to you initially via email if you are under consideration for an internship. It will be myself or my colleague, Jennifer Becerra, who is another one of our internship coordinators here. We typically reach out via email, and if we don't get a response via email, we do give you a call just to see if you received it. And that's when we will ask to set up an interview time. Our interviews are typically 15 to 20 minutes. All of us do our interviews a little bit differently. I'm a little bit more casual in the way that I do things. I don't want students to be too nervous. We really just want to get to know you a little bit more about your skill sets and what you can bring to the team, and whether you're actually interested in this kind of work in this project. And you can also log into your application and click view my offers to view pending offers. But basically after we complete the interview process, we do have to work on the back end to have our mentors come to a final decision. And if you are selected for the internship, we sometimes will email you just to let you know there's an offer coming your way. But if not, you should receive an email with that actual offer, which you can just click the link in there, and then you can accept or deny it. It usually gives you 7 days, so 5 business days, a full week, to be able to accept or deny that offer before it expires. Not all centers interview their students, just an FYI. Everyone does it a little bit differently. But overall, you will be contacted either via email or phone initially to do a really quick screening. And then from there, we just have their mentors make the decision. All right, so you can connect with our internships team in the program on all these different social medias. So Facebook, which I'm pretty sure none of you guys use, and I don't blame you. But we have Instagram, which is actively used, and so is Twitter. And Instagram is NASA Internships, Twitter is NASA Interns. And then we have our blog, which a lot of our postings and our writings and stuff like that are actually written by our interns. We have a lot of social media and communications interns right now that are helping us, and they help us create these blogs too. So like I mentioned, if you're into communications or that sort of thing, then absolutely apply. And then, like I mentioned, our website is listed right here, intern.nasa.gov. And then our website right below, JSC-intern-inquiries at mail.nasa.gov. I know that one's a bit of a mouthful, but I probably will be sending out these slides to the team to have them share with you all. And then you can basically be able to, just click the links and be able to access whatever you need to access. All right. So any questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see some of the questions if they come up in the chat, and then I can answer any questions you all have. Are freshmen competitive to apply? Absolutely. We've had interns that are 16 years old. We've had interns that are in their 60s. So really don't worry about where you are in your education. There likely is an internship that will fit you. If it's not at JSC, it likely will be at all these other different NASA centers that are available. We have, over 1,000, close to 2,000 interns every semester. And, we just expecting those numbers to go up because our team is, all of NASA is really starting to understand the benefit that interns can bring to the team.
Okay, Miss Eva, I got a question from a student here.
Yes.
You want to know for a specific JSC, did you expect the interns to take the internship in person or virtually for
Yeah.
summer or a fall?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently we're functioning at a hybrid capacity right now. So most of our interns are working remotely just because a lot of our NASA employees are currently working remotely. I myself have not been back on site for almost 2 years now. So because most of our teams are working remotely, a lot of our interns are as well. However, we do have quite a few mission critical interns that their mentor is working on site. They need the intern to work on site for whatever reason, whether it's testing or working in a lab and that sort of thing. So those opportunities do exist. And then we also have some that are listed as hybrid, to where you'll be on site a few days during the week and then working from home a few days during the week. So typically in that internship that you are applying to, it should have it listed somewhere, whether it's virtual or on site, or if it's a hybrid. But I feel like a lot of that changes as we go to. NASA is slowly starting to reopen, and we really don't know where we'll be come summertime. So if there's an internship that you're wanting to be on site for, or if there's an internship that you're wanting to be working remotely and it's listed as otherwise and not in what you're looking as it for, but that's completely okay. I would say still apply, because the status could change, and if the mentor is wanting you on site, sometimes if you talk to them, they're able to have it work as a hybrid model or just have you working remotely as well. Any other questions?
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I do have a quick question. I know you went over this briefly, but do you have any more tips on how to make your application stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say probably have as much information in there as possible. Definitely attach your resume and transcript because those are The transcript is something that we do verify. We verify what level you are in your education, whether you're undergrad, graduate, or a high school student. We also verify your GPA through that as well. So having your most up-to-date transcript in there could probably speed things along a little bit. And then, like I mentioned, probably including all of those skill sets that you have. There's also a little section in there on why do you want to work at NASA? And, there are some mentors that highly, highly value the reason that you're wanting to apply to internships, and kind of delving into what actually grabs your attention about NASA, or aerospace or whatever it may be, can really make you stand out. And probably one of the biggest things is get your application in early. We are continuing to post internship opportunities. We posted a bunch yesterday. We're going to continue to post some over the next week or two right before the application deadline. So definitely keep checking back. And then if you see a project that you're interested in, absolutely, absolutely apply as soon as possible. The sooner you are able to submit an application, the sooner, a mentor will be able to see your resume and your application, and the sooner, they'll be able to consider you for an internship.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Ms. Hiba, thank you again so much for your time today. Can you just explain a little bit about what happens at the end of a Pathways internship? Like how exactly does that turn into a job? Or
Yes.
what the purpose is for that?
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, we have a few different internship programs here at NASA. Like I mentioned, I am the one that I'm part of the OSTEM internships team. And then another one of our internship programs is called the Pathways internships. And typically how that works is it's a little bit more intensive in onboarding and selection process. You do have to go through a few different panel interviews to be selected. And they are not very flexible when it comes to the kind of degree that you're working on. If within a Pathways posting that they have listed, these are the degrees that we're accepting, they are literally accepting only those degrees. So just keep that in mind if you are wanting to apply to those. But how it works is you are brought on and you are required to do a minimum of 3 internship tours throughout your educational career. So whether you're an undergrad or graduate, they're having you to complete 3 semesters essentially of fall, spring, or summer. Throughout your internship, obviously, you can go back for a semester or two to go to school to finish up some classes and that sort of thing. But basically, if all of that goes well, you are and you have found, and each of those rotations is what they call it, each of those 3 rotations are within a different team at NASA. You typically don't get to select what team you're working on or what specific work that you're doing. It's just within a specific realm, I guess. So something specific for engineers and education and that sort of thing. But essentially, if you do a really great job, you have a very, very high chance of landing a full-time job at the end. Typically, Pathways interns end up working with one of the teams that they had a rotation with. And if the team loves the work that they do, if the intern loves it as well, then they end up landing a full-time job as a civil servant. So with OSTEM internships, unfortunately, this is not the case. You cannot land a full-time job after usually as a civil servant, at least. However, we've had some cases with interns that it has happened. So don't think it's completely, not possible. It absolutely is possible, just not as common. In my time here at NASA, I've only seen it happen 1 or 2 times. And those are all from interns that really, really put in, all of the work. They dedicated their time to, the team and the work that they were doing and that sort of thing. And those were interns that ended up coming back repeatedly for multiple sessions. So they really, really got to know the team and that sort of thing. And then they ended up landing a job, whether with that team or within another team at another NASA center. But even though you're not able to land a full-time job as a civil servant, typically as an OSTEM intern, a lot of our interns do end up having some sort of opportunity to either translate their current internship, and they usually apply for those pathways internships to kind of transition into that pipeline. And then we also have some of our students that end up landing jobs with contractors with NASA. So most of the JAC employees are working with contractors. So myself, I am with a contractor, but I still, if we were on site, I would still be sitting at NASA, working with NASA teams, have my NASA badge, all that stuff going on. It's just a little bit of a different experience.
And Hiba, if I can add in a little bit, so I have worked with several NASA interns over the last 4 years. And first of all, to reiterate one point that Hiba said earlier is we give interns real work that we actually need help with. All the interns that I've worked with have been surprised that they're not getting coffee or picking up lunches or other things because we have too much real work for them to do, which really strengthens their skills and also their resumes. But as an intern, you do receive lots of stretch assignments, but the intern mentors are looking for the skills that you have that their teams need to supplement their teams and to help them out. And so we'll use those strengths that you have while also giving you those stretch assignments. The other thing I wanted to add is out of the multiple interns that I've seen, many of them now work at NASA. And it may not be the immediate, like you finish your internship and here's a job offer. But as she mentioned, a lot of times they can work with other contractors. In the Office of STEM Engagement, I've worked with interns who shortly after their internship end up getting a job within the Office of STEM Engagement, so NASA's education area. There's people who've worked with us that end up as flight controllers in mission control not long afterwards. There have been people who've become public affairs officers that work in digital media services. And so it's not uncommon. I don't want to say it's like it happens all the time, but it is not uncommon for NASA interns to end up working at a NASA center. From the experience that I've seen, the interns that I've worked with directly, it's a pretty common occasion because the fact that your internship does give you real work and it does immerse you in NASA culture and NASA's work, it gives you a huge whenever you're applying for a position within NASA. So I wanted to add those pieces in there. So thanks for letting me pop on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Scott, you're absolutely right. One thing I tell interns all the time is NASA loves NASA. So if you have NASA on your resume, even as an internship, knowing NASA, knowing that you know about what the culture is like, what the mission is, how things kind of work in and day out at, even if it's not at the specific center you interned at, just in NASA as a whole, they love to see it. They love to bring you back on. I will say every semester I have at least 1 to 2 interns that come to me and tell me that they've landed some sort of job, whether they got, a pathways internship or whether they landed a job as a contractor, whether at JSC or at another facility. So like Scott said, a lot of times they do end up coming back at some point, whether, it's a few years later after they graduate. I work with a lot of people that actually have been NASA interns before. And, a lot of our mentors have been interns before as well. There's a lot of resources here to help you along the way, make it a little bit easier for you. And then if you're able to really use the internship opportunity as a networking opportunity as well, then you can really, really make the most of it. I have had interns come in and, they love the internship so much that they're like, I'm about to graduate, but I want to continue interning here. So I'm just going to go get my graduate degree so I can still be eligible for internships. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's like, if that's what you're passionate about, why not? Kind of go for it and, take the risk. All right, another question. Do you feel the mentorship is a career lasting or lifelong after the internship concludes? I do feel it. I feel like a lot of our interns end up creating a very good relationship with their mentors. And the mentor and a lot of our interns end up, after leaving for a semester or two, sometimes they'll reach back out to the mentor and be like, hey, I'm free this summer. Can I come back for another internship? And the mentor is like, absolutely, why not? So, those opportunities are always available. And it really is what you make of the situation. If you are the kind of person to, put a little bit more effort into a relationship to be able to maintain that, then obviously that will be of a little bit more benefit to you if you're able to, continue networking with your mentor and the people that you worked with. Because, even if you don't land a job with NASA immediately after graduating, you never know what can happen 2 to 3 years from now. Maybe there'll be an opening in that team and they remembered all the wonderful things you did and they want you to come back. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, so I know it's a possibility. Any other questions?
Just one last follow-up question. Do these OSTEM internships count as the 3 rotations for the pathways, or is it 3 specifically in the pathways to finish?
Yeah. So I believe that Pathways considers OSTEM internships. They can consider one of them as one of the Pathways rotations. And they just changed this in the last 2 years because I know previously they did not allow it. But if you have been in an OSTEM internship, we actually have a good amount of OSTEM interns that end up going into Pathways positions. But if you've done one internship with us, they usually will count that internship as one of your Pathways rotations, but you do have to complete the other 2 Pathways rotations as a Pathways intern.
Yes. All right, thank you, Ms. Eva. I appreciate your time and your presentation to our students. And any other questions? If he's just
No, I don't see any more questions.